Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is rejecting an olive branch from Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu initially banning freshman Congresswomen Tlaib and Ilhan Omar from visiting the country, but then extended an offer to allow Tlaib to visit her grandmother. Trey Yingst is in Jerusalem with more on all this. Trey.
David, that's right. Representative Rashida Tlaib says she will not visit Israel after being granted a humanitarian visa by the Israeli government. Tlaib applied for this visa yesterday to visit her grandmother after being denied a standard visa, along with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. In order to receive approval, Tlaib had to sign a letter to Israel's Interior Ministry saying she wouldn't promote a boycott of Israel during the visit. She signed the letter, but then faced major backlash online from Palestinians who said she was giving in to the demands of the Israeli government. We spoke with Tlaib's family today in the West Bank to get their reaction. Her uncles and grandmother said they were disappointed she wouldn't be visiting, but supported her decision.
They don't want her to come. They prevent her because they know she's coming here to see in her own eyes with the delegation the suffering of the Palestinian people and the violation of the occupation on the people's lives here.
The events that unfolded this week had many Democrats in Washington pointing the finger at President Trump, who they say influenced Prime Minister Netanyahu to make certain decisions this week. The Prime Minister faces his own set of criticism here in Israel and will answer many questions about what happened this week as he faces re-election next month. David?
Trey, terrific reporting. Really good job today. Thank you very much for joining us. And joining us now is Waleed Phares. So, Waleed, was Congresswoman Tlaib's rejection of the offer to visit her grandmother and all of this just a publicity stunt?
It is beyond that, David. This is all about politics. It's not tourism. Obviously, the Congresswoman has a political agenda. It's not a secret political agenda. They were way before her, years before her, VIPs, U.S. citizens, professors, who actually had the same positions, and Israel responded. What our public needs to understand that we need to distinguish between two things. If you are a U.S. citizen going to a foreign country, it's one thing. If you are a member of that foreign country and returning, it's something else. Israel, for us to understand, has members of the Knesset, of their own parliament, who have the same position as the Congresswoman, yet when they come back, Israel will have to take them. The Congresswoman herself criticizes the administration, says whatever she wants about the administration. When she comes home, she's coming home. It's really about foreign citizens and the discretion of those governments with regard to those foreign citizens.
Waleed, it's Jonathan Honig. Thank you for being with us. Look, Israel is a beaconhead in the middle of a cesspool of the Middle East. It is the most open, tolerant, socially liberal country in the entire area. But wasn't this just, in a sense, a gift to Tlaib? I mean, this was going to be a nothing trip without too much attention. But now she gets to play the martyr, as so much of the politics is in the Middle East, against the big, bad Israel. So she wins from this, does she not?
Look, many are making the case, but governments make political calculations. So for Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, for him, if he lets her go in and blast Israel and issues that are very dear to the Israelis in terms of legitimacy, he will have a large segment of his political party and of other political parties go against him. He just calculated. The same would apply here. But the difference between Israel and many other countries that you have mentioned is that Israel still allowed her to go on a private level, versus imagine Syria or Hezbollah-controlled Lebanon. They wouldn't allow me to go because I criticize Hezbollah openly. So there are differences, obviously, between Israel and other countries, but this is a political calculation by those governments.
Yeah. Hey, Waleed, Gary Smith, like Jonathan said, thanks for being on the show. I agree 100% with Israel's stance. They are always...
Which one?
They're being picked on. They've been for centuries, to be honest with you, and only the U.S. takes their side. But here's my question. Do you think this is going to happen again, or has this happened in the past with Israel? And do you think there were any backroom negotiations between President Trump and Netanyahu on this issue?
There is always backroom negotiation. I mean, this is what we learn in political science, international relations. Everything we see has even double the size of volume of negotiations. I remind our audience that years ago, a prominent professor from Columbia University, Edward Said, traveled to Lebanon, to southern Lebanon, and he's from Palestinian descent, but he's a U.S. citizen, and start throwing, symbolically, of course, stones against Israel. Obviously, this is not going to please the Israelis in terms of media, and they had that problem with him. But times governments will talk to each other, to other governments, and try to find political solutions for the matter.
Waleed, is there any way that you can shed some light on what her boycott against Israel was really all about? Because I've heard that it was really quite severe in terms of the message that was coming across. And I think if viewers would understand that, they may understand why Israel reacted the way it did.
Look, the reason for why we are discussing this with this dimension is not the actual movement or idea. The BDS is many years old. I mean, everything we're discussing now, the far left here, and of course the pro-Iran, pro-Hamas factions, for many years have been promoting. It's because you have now members of the U.S. Congress for the first time since last fall who are pushing for this agenda. It just politicized it to a level unseen and unheard of before.
Yeah, well, clearly BDS, the group that they support, wants to get rid of Israel. They just want to get rid of it off the map. It's that simple. So why should Israel have them there? Waleed, I want to get your take on something else that's happening. President Trump and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo meeting with advisors this afternoon to discuss working with the Taliban on a deal that could mean pulling most U.S. troops out of Afghanistan. Now, we've been in there too long. Most people think we have too many troops there. But can we trust the Taliban in a deal?
I'll begin by the end of my statement. No, we cannot trust the Taliban before the Taliban reform. So that's almost mathematics. However, on the other hand, there are and should be plans, because the current plan is not working. For the last many, many years, the Taliban were not actually defeated on the ideological level. They keep coming back. My concern is if we do it very fast, we just withdraw and don't look back at what the Afghan government can do, the Taliban can take back all of Afghanistan, or at least 80% of Afghanistan, and that would be a new problem. So we have to be very careful in the next plan, Plan B, for Afghanistan.
Boy, I'll say. Waleed Phares, wonderful to have your opinion, to have your view of things. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you again soon.